Good
All
evening,
right.
good evening, and good evening once again. I have a very special guest joining me here on Facebook, and I have a very special guest joining me also on YouTube. So if you are watching this live stream from Missing Lost in Traffic YouTube channel, I would love for you to hit the like button, right, and try to share the stream with someone, a friend, a family member, a pal. That would be great. It would help, with the algorithm. So thank you so very much. I will see comments coming in from YouTube. I will also see your comments as you're commenting on Facebook. I will, depending on what type of comment is being made during this live stream, feature comments, questions. Maybe you need to get something restated. Better interpretation of what we're discussing. I will feature your comments throughout this live stream. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that I have Miss Charisma joining me. Would you like to be referred to as Charisma? Just
Sure.
want
That's fine.
Okay,
Yep.
want to make sure. I have Miss Charisma joining me live right now via StreamYard broadcast. She has been looking for her daughter, Alasia Hill, since March of 2021, March 11th of 2021. Her daughter was last seen in Detroit, Michigan, in the area of Linwood and Fullerton. Her daughter is 5'4". She was at the time 135 pounds. Maybe her weight could have changed. It's been a long period of time. She is light complected, and her hand was amputated before her disappearance. Would you say it was maybe a few weeks before her disappearance?
Yes, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay, so I knew it was a short period of time. So
Right.
about 2 weeks before Miss Hill's disappearance, her hand was amputated, and she was last seen wearing a jogging outfit. She
Mhm.
is or was at the time 23 years of age. So I thank you so very much, Ms. Charisma, for taking time to join this live stream on this evening. And I know that, it's what you have gone through has been very painful, and you're
Mhm.
experiencing trauma over and over again. So I like for you to just tell me how you feel, and you don't have to hold back anything. How are you feeling given what you have gone through to try to find your daughter?
Um, for one, just being able to stay sane in this insane situation, because it really is. I mean, it's like a mother's worst nightmare to not know where their child is for such a long period of time. Alasia is an adult, but me being her mother, I'm always looking at her as my child. And the length of times in between communication had never really went past like 2 weeks, if that. So the communication was always there, despite whatever, lifestyle she lived or whatever, she always communicated with myself, her children, and the extended family of her children. So this
Okay.
right here is by far like way too long. It's way too long.
Okay. How often would you say you were in communication with your daughter? Maybe 3 times a week, every day, if you would like to elaborate.
At times it would be a few times out the week, sometime a couple of times in one day, depending on if she was going through something or she just, was reaching out. She could call a couple of times a day. One thing about it, she'd call you in the middle of the night, like it's the afternoon, and hold a whole conversation. So just just being honest with, and also with her kids. She video chatted with her kids on Facebook often. So it was nothing for her to keep that communication open with them, and for her not to be in touch with them for this long period of time, is unreal. It just don't make sense.
How old are her children now?
One has now turned 6, and the other one has now turned 4. And of
For
course, yeah, of course, last month she had a birthday, turned 24. Hmm.
Oh wow. So she has her birthday has gone by and you or neither have her children been able to wish her a happy birthday, hug her, and just
Hmm.
celebrate that very special moment with her. Um,
Yeah,
I'd like to know, how her children have been handling. They're so young, ages 6 and 4. You
right.
said
Yeah.
her children have been just emotionally dealing with their mother's disappearance.
Hmm. Um, well, they both having issues with, bedtime. They cry out for their mother. When they communicate with me or see me, they ask, "Where's their mother?" They not understanding why they haven't talked to her or seen her.
Hmm.
And, the routine was normally when they come over to my house, that's when they would see their mom. I mean, she made effort and time to come to where they were, but the routine was for, them to see her when they come over here. And that hasn't happened. So they're like, "Where's my mom?" And all I can say is I'm looking for them. But recently the oldest one, his understanding of what's going on, it kind of shocked me. But he was like, "Have you put out missing person flyers for her?" And I'm like, wow, I didn't really want to talk to him like that about it. But I mean, he brought it to me like, "Have you did that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've done it. But I kept that away from him, you know what I'm saying? So
Yes, yes, yes. I understand that you're, wanting to shield and protect them from what you're experiencing right now, which is a very harsh reality regarding your daughter's disappearance. Uh,
mhm.
would you like to discuss the last time or date you physically laid eyes on your daughter and what that was like?
Sure, I could do that. So basically that morning she was at her male friend's house, and called me and told me, well, asked me what time was her appointment. So I confirmed the appointment time, which was 1 o'clock that afternoon. And she told me she would either walk there or catch the bus and meet me there. So I kind of asked her, why is you gonna do that when the person got a vehicle to bring you? And she said that person wasn't acting right, they was acting stupid or something. So I'm like, okay. So when I got to the location of her appointment, she was at the registration desk, and as I'm walking towards her, her male friend approached me, and I was kind of shocked, like, "What is he doing here?" Because she said, and when she turned around, she was teary eyed. So that was different. I was like, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" And she just kind of shook it off. Her stepdad had called. So I gave her the phone because he wanted to, talk to her about her situation and that. And she continued to be teary eyed. Once we went to the second floor, she threw the phone on the couch and took off running in the hallway, and her male friend went behind her. So at that time, I thought she was more so upset about the conversation she had, being kind of chastised about her behavior or whatnot.
Mhm.
But at that time, the medical assistant came out and directed us to the examination room for her to have her stitches removed, because at that time it had healed, her wound had healed, and it was just a lot of swelling going on.
Mhm.
But as we were in the appointment, she still was like really teary eyed, and I could wonder like, "Why are you crying? What's going on?" So her male friend got a phone call, stepped out the room, and I said, "Do you want him to leave?" Is kind of trying to see if that's the reason why she was upset. And she
Yeah.
said no. But then she went and answered and said, "Somebody keep calling me out my name." So here I am like, this is different because she done been in so many situations. I wouldn't think that she would be that upset about somebody calling her out her name. I'm not saying she's comfortable with that, but it just seemed weird to me.
Mhm.
So we finished up the appointment, and she got her referral to get the prosthetic hand, the fitting for the prosthetic hand, which
Mhm.
she was thinking that day she was going to get fitted for. So she was excited about getting her hand, and being able to make use of it. We
Mhm.
caught the elevator down, and she hugged me and said, "Bye, mom, love you." And got in the car with her friend while he went to go get the car. That's when we was talking. He went and got the car pulled out. She got in the car with him. I waited for my Uber, and I kind of felt away, but I was like, all right, I'll just call and check on her. So later on that evening, about 8 o'clock, I called. She answered the phone, and she sounded real upbeat. Nothing like what I had seen earlier. She sounded actually happy. She said her friend was going to get her some Coney Island, and we all know Lasia love to eat. So she was
Mhm.
excited about that. And I said, did you take your medicine? Whatnot? You good? She said, yeah. So I said, I'll just call you in the morning and check on you.
Mhm.
So that next morning when I woke up, something, and I've never, out of all this time that she been living her life the way she do,
Mhm.
have I felt such an urgency to call. So I called, and he answered the phone. That struck a nerve. But I said, well, where's Lasia? He said, she not here. When I woke up, she was gone. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, where would she go? She really wasn't in the best of health. She was kind of her getting her balance back, if you will, because she was in a medically induced coma in the hospital from February 5th until like the 22nd or the 21st. So her normal activity and moving and stuff like that, just all different. She was gaining her strength back and getting her balance back. So I was like, where would she had a win? No money, not really anywhere to go. He didn't know. He said he didn't know. So I said, I'll call back later and see if she popped back up, because that's not unusual for her to, but just at that time with her health being the way it
Mhm.
was kind of, you know, uh, I don't know. I don't want to say the word weird, but it was just like, I didn't think that she would be leaving. Anyhow, I called back that evening, and he was like, she haven't came back. I haven't heard from her. I don't know. So I'm like, okay, maybe she'll call me because that's her thing. If something happens, wherever she at, if something happens, she wind up calling me and telling me the back end story. This
Yeah.
hadn't happened. 3, 4 days go by. I'm checking with him every day. She still has not popped up. She still hasn't called. So now we going into a whole new week. No Lasia, no calls, no Facebook activity, nothing.
Mhm.
So I'm feeling a little like something ain't right because it just didn't feel right.
Mhm.
So on the 29th, I got in touch with the 6th precinct, and I went down there and filed a missing persons report for her. And from there, uh, I just started reaching out to different people that she had befriended. I don't know these individuals, but some of them, she might have mentioned a name or something, or she used my phone and called them or whatever. So from there, I started reaching out to different people to see if they seen or heard from her, and everybody's like, no, no.
Mhm.
So, um,
Okay.
so that's
So,
how this whole thing started.
and that's a lot to definitely unpack. It looks like that you were just, kind of all over the place trying to figure out where your daughter was
Hmm.
after trying to reach her. And
Hmm.
this was around March 11th or on March 11th. Is that correct?
Yes, because the day of her appointment was March 10th, and the next morning was the 11th. Yeah.
Okay, so you
Hmm.
did her right the day after her appointment. Is that correct? Or the day?
Correct.
Sorry.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And so, in from what I just heard from you, when you called her, try to speak to her, her boyfriend answered the phone, and told you that he didn't know where she was. Correct. Looks like
Hmm.
the my stream is trying to freeze up on me. I don't know why, but I would like to
Right.
know.
And when he woke up, she was gone.
Okay. Oh, okay. And when he said when he woke up, she
Um,
was. So I like to know, do you know what you know about her boyfriend was? Would you say before she went missing,
oh, okay.
that's this is just for you to determine, would you say that they had a pretty stable relationship? Was he supportive or not supportive? I just like to know what your thoughts are on their relationship.
Hmm. Right.
I think I may be having some technical difficulties. So what I'm going to do, I see it freezing up on my end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to X Miss Charisma out and ask her to just click on the link I sent her so she can
So
rejoin.
I only had knew of him about a year,
Oh,
and
hear me?
from,
Okay, I was wanting to X you out and have you rejoin the live stream. Yeah. Okay. So she has exited the live stream. We're having some sort of connection issues. It happens, especially when I'm talking about something really important. So I I think she's rejoining now. Who am I speaking with now? I'm sorry. Okay. It's fine. Hold on. I want to X you out. I think
Okay.
another family member. I had some connection issues, so I wanted Miss Miss Charisma to rejoin. And you are a family member as well, right?
I'm her oldest sister.
Oldest sister. Okay. I'm going to try to give her the opportunity to rejoin. If you have
Okay.
something you want to say, you can let me know in comments, and then you can like click on that way. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. No problem. No problem. All right. So, okay, I'm waiting on Miss Charisma. You all forgive me for the technical difficulties, right? But it happens. I'm trying to get her back. All right. Okay. Do you think you're in a pretty stable place in terms of your Wi-Fi?
all right.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. You can? Okay. I just want to make sure. So you can continue saying what you were saying
Okay.
about boyfriend. I'll just listen. Miss Alasia Hill's boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah. I am. Okay. Okay. Yes, I can. Okay. I yes.
Okay. I am.
Okay. So mhm. So from what I knew of him and meeting him, he seemed real concerned about her well-being. He was real nice. He was generous to her. I had no reason to really feel like he was a bad influence on her. So I just it's shocking because, like I said, he was a contact person at times when I was trying to find my daughter, or she hadn't called or something. He was the contact. So him not being the same, displaying the same energy. What's wrong?
I'm here.
Can you?
We're having
Okay.
a bad connection. Are you able to go to another part of your home? I don't know, living room, dining room, kitchen, or something, and reconnect. I'm going to I'm going to post a message so your family members can message you as well. Please move
Um,
to another. part of your home.
Can you hear me?
I can, but we're having a delay. So I'm asking you to move to another part of your home. I think the connection is a little off where you are. Okay, I'm sorry. I want everybody to really hear what you have to say. If you could, that's fine. If you can out, I do apologize to everyone watching for the technical difficulties that we're having, but we're trying to straighten it out right now. Okay, we're working on it right now. All right. So I want to give her the opportunity to try to go to another part of her home right now. Um, I'm just going to, you know, restate what I heard from her. It sounds like from what I last heard from Miss Alasia Hill's mother, her name is Charisma. She was saying before our interruptions, technical difficulties, that Alasia Hill's boyfriend was really supportive or seemed to be supportive before her daughter went missing. And after her daughter went missing, she stated here live that that support dwindled somewhat. I did have a very lengthy phone conversation with Miss Charisma, and she explained to me that she had difficulty with, getting assistance, I would say, from Miss Hill's boyfriend when family members, friends, and other individuals decided that they would do a search party. And that search party consisted of several individuals. That the individuals who came to volunteer to search for Alasia went to different parts of the city of Detroit, where she was last seen searching for Alasia. However, they were unsuccessful with finding Alasia. They were unsuccessful. They ended up, you know, learning or being told a lot of different rumors. And unfortunately, the rumors, the hearsay did not lead to Miss Charisma finding her daughter. So I just want to kind of fill you in a little bit on some of the issues, some of the, struggles and frustrating moments that Miss Charisma had with trying to locate her daughter. I'm going to see, I think that she is here again, and I'm hoping I did a good job just kind of filling you in a little bit here and try to. So I'm going to re-add her to the stream. All right. Hello.
Hi. Let's see how
Uh,
it
the devil is trying to interfere in this live.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We are going to just have to plead the blood of Jesus right now because I already know that's what's happening. And
Hmm.
don't want you to get your story out. If we got to do a whole nother live on another day, it's going to happen. We'll tell your daughter's story. So I'm just going to claim and believe that right now. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, what I like to do is, if you like to elaborate, I was just trying to fill people in and discuss how your daughter's boyfriend reacted or acted after she went missing versus before. I'll let you take over.
Okay, so what I was saying, prior to her going missing, he expressed a lot of concern for her well-being, picking her up from the hospital, whatever the situation was. I mean, he just gave me no reason to really think of him in a negative way. But as I said in the beginning, when I that very first day that I called to check on her, he said that when he woke up, she was asleep. So, going to the date our first search for her with Detroit 300, that is the day that he changed his story. So he went from saying when he woke up she was gone to telling my family, her extended family, and people that were present that actually when he woke up she was getting dressed. So he got dressed. She left out. He followed her about two or three houses away from his house, asking her where was she going, and she was like, leave me alone, Martin, leave me alone, leave me alone. So he left her alone and went back in the house.
Mhm.
That is so different from when I woke up she was gone. So that's when I started feeling like, okay, something not right about this story. I don't really know, but why did he change that story in particular? What happened, in between the time I talked to her and the morning when I called. What happened? Because I don't know. And quite honestly, during the search, his behavior was different. People noticed it. I wasn't really paying attention because I was looking for my daughter. But gentlemen in the Detroit 300, I guess, had separate conversations with him, and they also felt like it was some questionable things about his behavior and his story.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Would you be comfortable with elaborating on, what the Detroit Police Department noticed as being questionable? What did they tell you?
They never like shared details of what he told them when they questioned him. The only thing they told me is they came out to my house. First of all, they came out to my house the very next day after I filed the missing person report, checked my house from top to bottom. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. But with him, they let me know that when they reached out to him to come over, he agreed. But then when they got there, the family said he wasn't there. So I thought that was a little suspect. Just
Hmm.
know why not go ahead and clear the air and allow them in or whatever. I don't know what happened, if it was communication issue or whatever, but that's one of the things that they told me. And then the very first detective that was on her case has shared with me one day that she had talked to him and he said she was in the neighborhood, and this might have been 2 weeks after she had been reported missing. So I was like, well, really? He told you that she was in the neighborhood. So in my feelings, in my emotion, I called him and I'm like, why did you tell them she was in the neighborhood? You didn't even call me and tell me. And he was like, no, I didn't tell them that she was in the neighborhood. I told them I was in the neighborhood. I'm like, what? It just
Yeah.
don't sound right. And I can't see the police lying to me, telling me he said that and he didn't. So you know it's just things that make you raise your eyebrow, like what's going on for real. you know I
Yeah.
don't know. And then they didn't search his house immediately, so that was weird to me. But once I discovered some information between her communicating with another individual um that night that he knows, it was like, okay, so up until 1:17 a.m. of that night going into the next morning, she was communicating with somebody that why that person didn't come forward and say, I was with her, or me and her was talking, or whatever. I don't know. But somewhere in between 1:17 a.m. and 9:30, 10 o'clock, when I called, something happened. Alasia left, or she went somewhere with somebody. Something happened, but if she left out the house, but yeah, she went missing. So I don't know. With a missing, one thing I found out just
Mhm.
kind of going through this process with a missing persons case, a lot of information isn't shared because I guess everybody is suspect, including, the family, everybody. So everything can't be shared, and I get that. But just to, I guess, I don't want to say put my mind at ease, but at least keep me aware that y'all looking at somebody, or you following some kind of lead. But it's none of that, you know. And I've been following a lot of the different cases going on with people missing here, and it seemed like they deal with each one differently, which is, I don't understand what the protocol is. At
Mhm.
one point, I did ask the sergeant that was in charge of her case at that time, could you tell me what the protocol is for a missing person detective so my expectations can be in accordance with that. You know, I don't want to be sitting here thinking y'all gonna do this, that, and the other, and really you're just doing this over here. So, but he told me he wasn't comfortable with answering that question on the phone, and I was, you know, gonna have to come up to the precinct. So I don't
Oh,
know.
I want to just backtrack just a little bit.
Hmm.
After your daughter went missing, you filed a police report, correct? But you
Yes,
filed it on the 29th of March. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. The 29th of March, she actually was last seen on March 11th.
Yes,
And from what I just heard from you, the police immediately searched your house.
yes,
She was not residing with you at that time,
no,
and they didn't within
24.
70 hours, I would say, of
Hmm.
her appear of, well, at least of you filing the police report, because you found out a little bit over 2 weeks,
Right, because I
after,
looked for her. Yeah, yeah.
after she was last seen. So they decided after you filed this police report at the end of March that they would search your house and not search his house. That's what you're saying?
That's correct. They immediately came here the next day and searched my house. Um,
Hmm.
they didn't. I didn't find out that they went to his house and actually searched it until months later. So we're talking several months later. It wasn't shared with me like they called me and notified me. It was me going to them after I think I had went to the morgue, and I went to the precinct to talk to the detective that was on her case at that time, and
Yes.
it was shared with me then. But it wasn't like they said, hey, we went over there and we didn't find anything. It was just in conversation about her, period. And that's when I found out. But this was months later. It was not weeks later, it wasn't days later, it was months later. So that, I don't know.
They searched your house when after you let them know that she was not staying with you but staying with her boyfriend. That's what you're saying. Then they waited. Are we talking about the Detroit Police Department here?
We are talking about the Detroit Police Department. I am in the sixth precinct, so that's where I filed at. The location where she was at was the 10th precinct. Now, me, I don't know about all this stuff. So when I called to be informed, and that they told me to come there. So I did that.
Okay.
Mind you, at that time, I didn't know the direct address of his house, her male friend's house.
Okay.
So I couldn't give that information, but I told them, you know, what street, but I didn't know the exact address. So I understand with that being, you know, an issue. But once I did find out about, you know, find his address out, they didn't walk me through the steps. It wasn't until months later that I talked to someone from the precinct in which she was last located at, that told me, okay, well, what you can do is have them transfer the case over to us, which I thought would have made a little bit more sense because they're more familiar with that area, people in the street or whatever. So, you know, um, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I was getting ready to speak on this the second search that we had.
Okay.
Um,
I just to make sure everybody understood
mhm,
who's they searched first. They
mhm,
searched your house almost immediately after you filed the missing person report, and then the police decided to search the place she was actually living at months later. That's correct,
mhm.
which
Yes.
was with her boyfriend.
Mhm,
Okay, so I'd like to talk about the second search. There was one search that took place, and
mhm.
then you, your family members, and volunteers, they decided to search again. Can you
Mhm.
tell like when that was, and just what you learned while searching for her doing the second search?
Okay, so the second search was orchestrated because I got a phone call the week of Mother's Day, um, from somebody that I know personally. I mean, I haven't really been in tune with that person in years, but they have been in connection with my daughter and around my daughter and in that area. So I got a phone call. She made sure I was who I was supposed to be when she called. Yeah, that's me. And so she said that my daughter was deceased. And I said, "What did you say?" She said, "Your daughter, Alasia is deceased." And she asked me, did I know where the Elmhurst Men home was? I said, yeah, and she said, Monterey and Linwood. She said that she was in there wrapped in a pink blanket, and that I couldn't go through the front entrance, that would have to go through the back. And so everything that she said was true. When you got to that location, you couldn't enter through the front. You had to go around to the back. It was directly behind the Elmhurst Men's home on Monterey and Linwood. However, when I hung up the phone from her, I immediately called the police. The police told me, no, you can't call the detectives. You got to call 911 and you got to have the address. And I'm like, well, I don't know the address. The person just called me and told me the location. So that meant we had to just get in the car and get over there. So we got over there, got the address, called them and waited. Detroit 300 arrived immediately. I mean, within minutes. And then the police came. It was about 3 police cars initially. They questioned me where I get the information from, who told me this, what's the number, this, that, and the third. And then they proceeded to enter the house. So just to give you a visual, when we got in the backyard, it did seem like something weird had happened, something suspicious had happened, because there was a couple of single-dollar bills in the grass. There was a bag with some snacks in it. It was a female bra back there and some burgundy color weave. So it would make you think something happened there. And they went in there and they were in there for a good 25-30 minutes. My son got frustrated. He tried to enter and they brought him back out, and then eventually they came out and they were like, no, nothing's in there but a dead cat. So kind of like, wow. she the information seemed to match the location and everything, but she wasn't in there. So disappointed but hopeful at the same time, if that makes sense. Hopeful that she's still around, but disappointed that our search, we didn't find her. You know what I'm saying? So um that led to the second search with Detroit 300. We was like, okay, well, maybe she gave the wrong location, even though it matched. Maybe another house in that area is where we should search. So we did the second search there. At that same time, and planning that search, one of her friends got in touch with me and told me that she had been seeing my daughter in the Joy Road Dexter area. And she knew of a gentleman that, seemed to be controlling over her. This is not the same guy that she was staying with. Another gentleman, and she, kind of felt fearful of my daughter being with this individual. So she told us to search in that area, Dexter and Joy Road, which isn't that far from where we were at, but we went up in that area that same day and searched. And unfortunately, that area is full of blight. It's a lot of abandoned houses. It takes an army to search that area. It's way too many abandoned houses and buildings, and
Yeah.
it's a lot, you know. And I could touch on the first initial search in that area was hosted because we were, given some information that somebody was trying to harm her, and they burned the house down that they thought she was in. So
Okay. So
that
I interrupt you. I just want to make sure everybody can really follow along because there's a lot of details regarding
mhm,
the circumstances surrounding your daughter's disappearance. Um,
mhm,
Stated that during the second search was prompted as a result of you receiving a phone call and
yeah,
someone telling you your daughter was deceased in a house,
yeah,
right?
right.
And you were not successful with finding your daughter
Mhm,
after police were dispatched to that location. Uh,
mhm,
you stated that a bra was found. What were the other items, if you can repeat?
There was a bag with some snacks in there, and
Okay.
I mean, like I guess one of those Nutri-Grain bars and some candy and stuff. Which everybody that know Leisure, she loves snacks, so it was alarming, But there was a bra back there. There was a bag with snacks and two single-dollar bills in the grass, and some burgundy colored weave.
Okay. Can
Hmm.
you tell me if the Detroit Police Department decided to collect those items for
Not that I know of.
evidence processing purposes, to test for DNA or anything like that?
Not that I know of. Not that I saw. Once they came out of the house, they asked me again who was the individual that told me that.
Yes.
What was the contact information? At that time, I didn't have a contact number because she called private, but I
Okay.
had her one of her siblings number, and I gave them that, and she basically said that when she talked to that person, they didn't say that it was actually my daughter they saw, but they did see something in that house wrapped up in a blanket that they had never seen before. It was a huge thing wrapped up in a blanket. That's what they told their sibling. But in return, they called and told me it was my daughter. She was deceased. It got pretty deep because I did ask, was she harmed or was this some kind of overdose? I asked question and she said, no, somebody harmed her. Somebody hurt her. So, I mean, those details you're not going to take lightly. You're going to investigate. You're going to inquire, so it's just hard to believe or wrap your mind around somebody calling you and telling you something like that in the morning. Yeah, I mean, it don't matter if it's morning or night, but to call you and tell you something like that and not be true, you know,
Okay.
what kind of person would do that?
Yeah.
And after that, there has been no contact or communication with that individual. So I don't get that either. But recently that person has sent me a friend request on Facebook and like nothing ain't happened. I don't get that either, you know.
Okay. I just thought it was concerning that a bra was found when you did arrive at that location.
Mhm.
Snacks, dollar bills. Have I covered everything in terms
Yeah.
of the items?
Yeah.
Oh, a wig, a
Well,
burgundy
it was
wig.
some, yeah, burgundy tracks were back there. Some burgundy weave was back there in the grass as well.
Do you
Hmm.
know if your daughter ever wore burgundy track hair?
So she has, but at that time she had, now I'm not saying that she couldn't have changed it, but at that time, she had a black wig that she was wearing, short in length or whatever, about shoulder length. And that's, what I would have thought maybe she had, if any kind of hair piece at all. But it would, I mean, it's not impossible for her to have had that one because she changed her look, frequently.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I know that we've taken a lot of time talking about the second search,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to make sure that everyone was able to, you know, uh, catch those specific details. That's why I wanted to go back
Yeah.
before we discuss the first search
Yeah.
and what prompted you to, you know, start the first search. So, be my guest, if you like to discuss
Mhm.
the first search and when and what you discovered, I would say, during that first search.
Okay, so with the first search, that was prompted because of a third party conversation involving somebody that was really close to her. She informed a colleague of mine that Alasia was involved in a situation and this person was looking for her. And when they got note that she was in this particular house, they went and burned the house down. So to, kill her basically to make sure. And so that is what prompted the first search in that area because we knew the street We just didn't know which house. And there's several houses on that street burned. So when we did that search, we looked at that house, but when we went back and they, because the Detroit 300, they have their own way of searching houses. They have a protocol, they have check off lists. So when we went to search this one particular house that we kind of thought might have been the house, because the people next door was like, yeah, that house recently got burned like in January.
Mm.
So and like I said, she went in the hospital February. There was a platinum blonde wig found with black roots. Now, initially I was like, my daughter wouldn't wear that, you know.
Mm.
But after it was found, um, I went through her Facebook, and her very last video, she had on that wig. She had on that same platinum blonde wig with the black roots. And when I say, like, my spirit, my soul just jumped out, because I'm like, oh my God, she was at that house. Thank God she wasn't in there burned, you know. But that was her wig. That was the wig that she had on in that video. So yeah, but that's why we did these searches, you know, of course to look for her, but because of the leads or the tips that was given to me, that's what led to these searches, you know.
Okay.
Um, at
Okay.
this time, I don't really have any other leads, and with the detectives that were involved, because that has rotated. She's had about 4 to 5 different detectives on her case. I don't really know why that happens, but I had reached out and I said, you know, with it being so much blight in that area, and we have limited, you know, people to do that in so many hours in a day, maybe we need cadaver dogs. And at that time, I was told that that's not in a budget, and they didn't have them. So I did my own research and found a lady that runs cadaver dog service, and she had to get in touch with them and communicate with them and then get back in touch with me. When she called me back a couple of days later, she said, well, they didn't have any actual location to look for your daughter, but when and if they do, they'll contact her, and you know, we'll move forward.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I I think the where the blonde wig was found, you believe to be your daughter's wig. I
mhm.
I just my personal opinion, I believe that is an ideal area to search at. What part of Detroit is that? Where this blonde wig? Can you describe the area?
So it's the west side of Detroit. I'll give you a box. Davidson, Linwood, Dexter, that area.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm. I
In
think that's 48238 zip code, the 10th precinct area. Mhm.
the west side of Detroit,
Mhm.
went to a location based upon a tip you received. You
Mhm.
see a wig at that location. You was told your daughter was burned up, correct, and burned inside of a
But
building. At
what
location.
yeah, the person attempted to burn that house down because they thought she was in there. So they
Then
intended to burn her in this house, but she just at that time was not in the house. However, it was a house that she had been at, and when we went to do that search after we was told that information, that's when we located a wig that she had on in her very last video on Facebook. So that was alarming, you know, but like I said, when we talked to the neighbors, they had said that house had burned in January. You know, she didn't come up missing until March. But just the fact that one of the neighbors, not necessarily next door, but someone on that block told me that my daughter used to be in this particular house and this one here, and for us to find that, so it was like we were getting, I was feeling like we were getting close, you know. But no, we didn't find her that day either.
okay, yeah, okay. I definitely um was very much interested in learning more details about that specific place.
Mhm.
That there's this wig that you found.
Mhm.
that you probably shouldn't have found there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, I know I got wigs, and I don't just take them off and throw them in the street. My wigs,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
are in
Right.
my closet in bags, and I haven't worn them in a while. But
Put 'em up.
anyway,
Put 'em up. Right.
I, yeah, and even if I'm going to take a wig off, I mean, it might be in the car or something, but I try not to do that. But I mean, to be in the, it was, where was the wig actually? It was
So it was found in the rubbish of the house that had been burned. I didn't necessarily find a way the extended family member had found it like immediately when we went back because we went to that house first on our own as a family before the search. When the same day, that same week, I'm sorry, the same week that we heard that information.
Mhm.
And we don't know what we're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know how to go into a halfway burnt down house and except for just look for a body and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But what I recall is while we were standing out in front, the individual came from the side of the house and had the wig in his hand and was like, "Is this hers?" And I'm like, "Oh no," I'm like, "No," but I had to. It was put in a bag of things that we found because we went to several houses in that area and found things. For instance, in the very next block, we went into a house and it seemed like somebody that do hair or whatever had been in there. Now, mind you, these houses are like, I want to say like a squatter situation.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And so there was different hair pieces in there. It was set up like, they were comfortable, whoever. And we went in the basement. It's like water and stuff down there, and they found different items, but they found a fresh banana, and they were like, somebody's been in here, because here we are in this basically abandoned home, and it's a fresh banana, like somebody just got that from the store. It wasn't brown anywhere. So um I was like, I don't know. I mean, you don't know because it's all kind of people squatting in houses. So we can't say, oh, that was Alasia's banana. That's Alasia's weave right there. Didn't know that, but there was a medium on the scene, to make it a little bit more interesting. We did have someone that was a medium there, and she was picking up on different things. And she actually had told me that that was my daughter's wig. So to come home and then go on her Facebook just to be going on there looking at stuff, and saw that. I don't know how I bypassed it before, but when I saw that, it was very alarming. Hmm.
Do you think it's possible that an actual incident occurred there at that location where the wig was found? We know that the house was burned down before her disappearance,
Right.
but you think, given um, what you're telling me, you looked at this wig, looked at it on Facebook. I'd like for you to send me the
Sure.
video, if
Hmm.
or tag me in it, and you just knew this wig was your daughter's wig at
Once
this
I,
place.
yeah, right. Once I seen the footage, because initially I was like, no, she wouldn't wear a wig like that. I never seen her with nothing like that. But as a mother, when you step back and as a mother, you like, no, not my child. But in reality, it's like you think you know your child, but you really may not know them the way other people know them. So, like I said, I was in denial about that wig. I didn't even think it was hers, but in all actuality, it seemed to be her wig. Like I said, we seen it on the video footage on her Facebook. Her last live on her page, she has that wig on. Hmm.
Well, I mean, I just want to know what you think. I don't want to put any words in your mouth.
Right, right. Oh,
If
oh, well, I do think that that is the home that the individual that she had some kind of issues with burned down
Okay.
to get rid of her, kill her, whatever. I mean, I don't want to put those accusations out, but that's what I was told, and that's what we found, this burned up house. So apparently she was there, but she wasn't there at the time when they did that.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
what I connect that wig with. That was a location that she was at, but she just wasn't there when that actually happened.
When
Yeah.
when it actually happened.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just found that to be a little bit, alarming.
Hmm.
That
Yes.
you're finding that a wig and comparing it with the wig she was wearing doing a live,
Hmm.
and it just dawned on you that, oh, that this is her wig.
Right.
She definitely here at some point. So I know that your search parties that you've conducted, you've not been successful with finding your daughter. Have you received any recent feedback from the Detroit Police Department? Any updates?
No. No updates. None from them. Like I said, she had a pretty close friend, and I reached out to her on Alasia's birthday, and she shared some another location that I could possibly find her, when which she was told that she bled out at this location. So that was like, wow. Mm, I informed the police about that, and they went over there, and they didn't find her there either. Um, it's disheartening on one end. I'll say that you hear these things, and you kind of get your hopes up that this is about to come to an end. You about to get the closure. Now, when I say that, I mean that in that manner. No, I do not want to find my daughter deceased. I want to find her alive and well. And I want a good explanation of why she ain't been around, which would lead to another accusation or alleged situation that she could be sex trafficked right now. So that would keep her from being able to communicate with family. So I don't know. All of this stuff as a mother is it's not nothing that you want to hear about your own child. And I'm just it's exhausting to go through this for this amount of time and not be no closer to knowing what happened, if something happened, or where she at after all this time. You know what I'm I'm just tired of this. I really am. I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize for to me. I want you to have all the time that you need. And if you feel that we've been talking for a while, I said that
Mhm.
we can talk any more than 40 minutes, but a lot of times my conversations extend past 40 minutes. So we've been live for 57 minutes. It
It's
is a lot to talk about. It's emotional. I'm feeling emotional just listening to you and taking in everything that you have discussed with me. We had a really long conversation, 2-hour conversation, I think, on the phone, previously discussing your daughter's disappearance. So I understand that you can be very much overwhelmed right now. If you would like to, you know, take a break from talking about, you filled me in and everyone in on a lot of details that may be very helpful to individuals, who would be assisting to the best of their ability to try to help you find your daughter.
all
And so you've given a lot of details. If you'd
right.
like to disconnect, you know,
No, I
we,
mean, this is my first time like really going public and speaking in this form of detail about her disappearance. I just, post flyers, and at one point I did the billboards. It's pretty costly, but I did it, and I connected with Crime Stoppers,
mhm,
and did a press release with them, and the news is one in particular, Dr. Detective O'Connell. She did a refresher, and Sergeant Glinton did a refresher, so the news would post her story again. But outside of that, this was I thank you so much, and I meant to start off with saying thank you for having me in this interview, because I didn't have another way to do this. I did interview with Dateline, but that was more so over the phone. It wasn't a face to face, and then they doctor it up or whatever. And a lot of people, when you do contact people to speak out or to share your information, what they do is they make it interesting, and sometimes that switches the story. So with you, I appreciate your platform because you allowed me to say it in my own words. You didn't switch it up or anything like that. You allowed me to verbalize in my own words, and I appreciate that. I really do.
Okay. Oh,
Because
I mean,
um,
go ahead.
it was a lot of questions about her being in the hospital and her lifestyle or whatnot. And it was some misunderstanding about this blood infection. The blood infection came from the injury to her arm that occurred while she was in the hospital. It was nothing that she did to herself. She went through the ER just as normal, and in her stay of the hospital, the IV infiltrated in her arm, which means it kind of like exploded in her arm, and all the propanol went directly into her bloodstream, into her muscle tissue and her nerves, and it ate away at her those items in her arm. So that's what led to the amputation. There were rumors that, she had issues with people and they cut her hand off. And it was no way for me to like get out there and say, no, this is not what happened. But this right here is an opportunity for me to, kind of explain that's what happened to her hand. It wasn't a dispute with her and somebody else and they cut her hand off. This happened in the hospital due to the negligence of the staff at that time. Mm-hmm.
I experienced a negligence I experienced having a needle put in my arm when I was hospitalized
Mm-hmm.
for pneumonia. I was hospitalized for pneumonia, and they put it in my skin instead of the vein. It medicine was going in my skin, and
Yeah.
she didn't know what she was doing, so I was screaming. My mom stopped them and said, "Oh," because she just happened to be there right there. My mom
Yeah.
right there. She like on the couch camping out. She gonna be there every day until
Right.
So she was just because she was there. She was like, "Oh, stop! Y'all got to get here that know what they're doing
Right.
because what happened to your daughter could have happened to me with
Right.
because they were putting this medicine in my
Skin.
skin. It's
Yeah.
a horrible pain that I don't wish on nobody. Instead of my vein, and
Mm-hmm.
it could have caused a horrible infection, and I would be in the same situation
Right.
that your daughter was in. I know a lot of people are like, "What is going on?" Miss Charisma is talking about her daughter's amputation of her hand. Before her daughter went missing, her daughter's hand had to be amputated due to negligence of hospital staff. And I've experienced that type of negligence. It just didn't lead to a full blown, infection. And
Right.
so I'm definitely sorry that your daughter experienced this. And you were speaking to rumors. There were rumors that someone did something to her hand or
Yeah.
other things had taken place, but it was just really something unfortunate that happened during her hospital stay. So
Right.
thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And I just readdressed it. And so everyone will understand that this happened to your daughter.
Right.
Your daughter was very stressed out from what you discussed with me. And that's really important as well.
Yeah.
Before her disappearance, um, because she had lost her hand. Her hand
Right.
had to be amputated. And
Right.
if you like to, if you'd like to discuss how you feel that amputation could have played a role in your daughter's disappearance, you can definitely do so at this time.
A few days after she had been discharged from the hospital, because she kind of forced her way out of the hospital, she cutting up on her. So she came home with me, and she was depressed about that. She was depressed about a lot of things that she experienced in her life. I'm sorry, and losing her arm, well, losing her hand, and she immediately wanted her children to come see her. So they were here, and she broke down and she was like, I can't even hug them no more, mama, and I didn't know. I wasn't prepared how to deal with that either. At times she would be like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out the house. And I'm like, where are you going? Like, just to be clear, she was wearing Depends at the time because I think everything, her equilibrium was off. Okay. So at times she said she couldn't tell when she had to use the bathroom or whatever. However, the
Mm.
day that she went to the doctor before she went missing, she was, wearing regular underwear. But I'm just sharing to give people that visual of how in depth she was affected by what happened to her at the hospital. And
Mm.
she, I guess the best word, she kind of, bugged out on the 28th. I woke up like 4:30 in the morning to like a bumping sound, and I looked across the room, out my room across the hall, and she wasn't in there, but it was a lot of vomit and stuff in the bed, and I'm like, what the heck? So I'm calling her name, and when I looked at the steps, I saw she was on the floor. So I got down there, and she was in the middle of the floor. She wanted to smoke a cigarette. And I'm, fussing at her and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get some help. I'm gonna have to get you in a facility where you could, learn how to use your left hand, and where you can get some help. Cause I needed more help with her anyway. Because she was battling a few things. She got a mild mental, illness that she battles with. A lot of us got depression and then go untreated. A lot of us bipolar, not treated or diagnosed. So I put that out there. And at times she engaged in her own recreational, And so I go on into the kitchen after she's up on the couch, get her up on the couch, and I'm fussing and complaining, and I'm making a little solution to come upstairs and clean up. Well, when I came out of the kitchen and went into the dining room, I saw my front door was open, and so was my front closet. And I'm like, I know she ain't go out this door. She only had on a pair of shorts and a shirt and her hospital size. So I hear the people outside, where are you from? So I go out there, and she's across the street, telling the people she wanna, go to this area that she came up missing in. And they were alarmed at me because she's showing them this uncovered wound. She done took the bandages off of her arm, and they're like, what happened? What did you do? Are you safe? And I called different family members, and finally my oldest daughter called back on the video chat, and she explained to them, that's my sister, that's my mom, she's sick right now. And they helped me get her back across the street. At that time, I wound up calling 911. And her behavior was a little different at that time, but I sent her back to the hospital. Um, the hospital that they took her to was for this area, but they didn't really want to put hands on her, so they transferred her back to the hospital where she had the surgery. So, because it was, such a freshly done situation. So at that time, I notified the doctors that was caring for her at that time that maybe she need to be petitioned and kept there. She need to be somewhere where there's a code to get out or a key, because I can't do it. I can't lock her in here like that. And at the same time, before her first discharge, I was given the paperwork. The doctor signed off on me emergency guardianship for her, and I filed that with the court system here. Even to this day, I still have not received those documents or a court date or anything. I followed up in November just to kind of, see what happened, but I never heard anything back from them, and they couldn't find the paperwork for whatever reason. But 3 more days she was in the hospital, and I was in touch with the case manager and asked her about her being petitioned. She said she would present that to the doctors that was caring for her during a huddle and see what they could do. Unfortunately, they did not keep Alasia. They released her. And that's when her male friend picked her up and took her back to his place. So at that time, it was agreed that she would stay there. She would be more comfortable there than here. So that's how she ended up at his location. I know a lot of people probably was wondering, if your daughter was sick or whatever was going on with her, why wasn't she at home with you? So there's the answer to that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So of course, at this point in time, I'm like, man, I wish that I was able to contain her to the point where she could have stayed here, but unfortunately, it just didn't go that way. And who knew it was going to turn into such a mess? You know.
Yeah. And, God, He definitely sees and He definitely knows. And I hope that you don't, blame yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that may be difficult to do, just running back in your mind, if what you could have done differently,
Yeah.
you know, or what anyone could have done differently. Unfortunately, this is the circumstance, an event that took place. Very unfortunate. Whereas you have been able to find your daughter, unfortunately, there may have been, from what I'm hearing from you, evidence, um, potential evidence. I'm not going to say evidence, but potential evidence that was not processed by the Detroit Police Department properly, assessed. You know, uh, I'm not hearing from you that, you know, they had any sort of, crime scene analysts come out, to the place that she was at.
Yeah.
It's her boyfriend's home.
Yeah.
However, there was an immediate search of your home,
Right.
so that's very unfortunate. Yeah, of course, they would have to have probable cause
Right.
to, they would have had to have, you know,
Right.
probable cause to search
Mm-hmm.
his home immediately.
Yeah.
I just find that it's unfortunate that the police decided to search your home when she was actively residing at his home. That's
Right.
where I'm getting at in terms of the start of the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
It's really unfortunate that you've been just on a roller coaster. You've been told so many different stories.
Right.
You've been sent off in places that you'd rather not be, and then you
Yeah.
just came back empty-handed
Yeah.
without your daughter.
Yeah.
So uh, there are just other, things at play here that is just so unfortunate. And I heard you mention the possibility of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
heard you mention that,
Yeah.
and I'd like to, just on my own, I will reach out to individuals who are experts in that area,
Mm-hmm.
professionals, with a professional experience in that area, maybe send them this video, and so I can get feedback on whether or not what has happened with your daughter could fit this,
Description of that. Yeah.
you know, it
Yeah.
could possibly be, the circumstances could possibly be, and we don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
I to, say indefinitely, a situation where she could have been, trafficked. She was certainly vulnerable, given that she was, experiencing some of the things that she was experiencing. I just think that your daughter's disappearance should be investigated by other agencies other than the Detroit Police Department.
Yes, I agree. They're very overwhelmed. It's a series of ongoing missing young ladies, and now some of the little young guys, that are missing. And I did want to mention the fact that 2018, was it 19? I got a phone call. I was in Florida living, and I got a phone call from, I think it was Sterling Heights, the sheriff's out in that area. They had a sting operation, and they found my daughter, and she was there. She had been captured by a man and kept there in some deplorable conditions. And it was her and three other young ladies. And to find out that case It was huge. It was a huge operation that led back to California. So she didn't really want to take part in any type of testifying or anything like that. But they contacted me for a good 6 or 7 months after that to see if she would testify. She didn't want to. She just wanted to like move on with her life. But it's not far fetched that she could have ended up in a situation, like that again. Just being at the wrong place. I don't know. It doesn't have to be to that extent. It could be local because we got a lot of that going on here. From what I'm learning, Michigan is in the top 10 for the sex trafficking. So that definitely could be a situation that would keep her from communicating with anybody. I'll share also that I, contacted the insurance company to see if they have received any requests for payments, probably about 8 months after she had been missing, and it went back to March. That was the last time they received a request for payment for any kind of health coverage for her. So you sit back and you think you got an individual who's recently been amputated, not in the best of health, definitely not in the best mental health, and they got other issues, and they haven't went to the doctor, the hospital, or any kind of urgent care in a year. And to be honest, my daughter was what we call in healthcare frequent flyer. So that's a person that individual visits the ER quite often. So that's unusual for her. Um,
Mhm.
she's had different contacts with the law as well. They haven't found her incarcerated anywhere either. So here we are, a year later, this frequent flyer. She ain't been to the hospital. She ain't, been incarcerated. She ain't been on social media. We all know Alasia love to take pictures and be on social media. She ain't been on there. This just unusual, period. You know, she reached out to her boys. She reached out to me. She had a lot of different friends or associates, whatever you want to call them. And for them, none of them to say, hey, we seen her. There was an incident before where she was injured. And they immediately, people start, sending pictures and stuff like, here she go right here. She all right. So that's where I'm at with it. She ain't been seen in a year or heard from in a year. She ain't been to the hospital in a year. She ain't been to jail. That's unusual for a person who is not of the lifestyle she was or involved in the streets or whatever you want to call it. It's unusual for the average person, to not be in communication with anybody, So I don't know. I'm feeling like I exhausted all my resources at this point, and it really goes back to people in that area or the individuals that was around her that night. you know it, that's all I could say. If they weren't involved in why she's not around, they definitely should know the information, and for whatever reason they don't want to talk about it. I
Mhm.
don't I don't I don't know. Some people, I don't know, maybe they've been intimidated by somebody, I don't know, but somebody, anybody, please, speak up. I mean, it's been a long time now. It'll be a year in what, 2 weeks now that she have not been seen or heard from. And this my last cry out, please somebody speak up, tell me something. I mean, whatever it is. I just don't need no more lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing this not only for myself, and she got siblings and she got children and they want answers too, you know. So who knows how this is affecting them on a daily basis. It doesn't mess me up, but her kids and her siblings is hurting and they want to know where their sister is as well.
Certainly, certainly, I'm sure they do. Um,
Mhm.
I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak out and just being so brave. I know that speaking out about your daughter's disappearance has been um, extremely painful. I
Mm,
just hear it in your voice, and what you've gone through is something that no mother should have to go through. You know, no one should go through. You know,
mhm,
just not knowing what happened to your daughter, and from what I've gathered, just your daughter's disappearance had been investigated to the extent I would say that it
mhm.
should have
Yeah,
when she first went missing. So I apologize on
yeah,
the individuals that did not do their due diligence to investigate your daughter's disappearance by using all resources available to them at the time. And so I'm definitely so sorry that you're experiencing what you are experiencing. I hope that someone watching right now who may have information regarding Alasia, she's now 24 years of age. She
yeah,
was 23, excuse me, years old when she was last seen. I'm hoping that if you have information regarding Alasia Hill of Detroit, Michigan disappearance, that you reach out to Miss Charisma. Her Facebook profile name is being displayed right now. If
mhm,
that type of individual who you're comfortable reaching out with to her directly, you can certainly send me a tip. Pebbles missing lost in trafficking at gmail.com. The email for missing lost in trafficking is being displayed before everyone. I've been displaying that email the entire hour while you're talking during in our running ticker. So
mhm.
send me an email, send me a message on Facebook, send me a message on Instagram. You can definitely message me. And I'm not into entertaining rumors, but just if you have some credible piece of information, crucial piece of information, if you have a text that you received from Ms. Hill um, hours or days before she went missing, kind of outlining maybe what her plans were, where she planned to go, that
Right,
would be absolutely essential and beneficial to her mother, who we are all looking at and hearing from today. So thank you so very much,
you're
Miss.
welcome.
We've been talking almost an hour and
Mm,
30 minutes. So I
mm.
am going to go ahead and disconnect so you
Okay.
have the time that you need to kind of, you know, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I want to give you that time. And I thank you so very much for
Thank
joining. And I
thank
love you to have a wonderful
thank
second
you.
night.
Thank you. All right.
Thank
You
you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
All right. So I've removed Ms. Charisma from the live stream, and she's going to continue on with her evening. And definitely, she and her family, they are all in my prayers and my thoughts. And I certainly hope that someone will find the courage to come forth and share some information that could help Miss Charisma find out either, where her daughter is now, or help her, aid her in getting the closure that she deserves to have as a mother. Thank you all for sharing this live stream. I thank you all for tuning in to this live stream. And I hope that Miss Alasia Hill is found sooner rather than later. I would like for everyone to have a wonderful and safe night. Bye bye.